Yeah, I'm in a jam down state. Yeah, Jamaican state of mind.
Welcome to another episode of Jamaican State of Mind podcast. And this is your host Nick. And I'm here with my co-host Carter. And we got Wilton at our brethren come join us on this episode. Welcome back, Wilton.
Yeah, man. Respect. In our place.
What go on, Carter?
Well, we look like we can't move on going to Rotted based on what go on there earlier now. So I don't know. Probably I'm stuck in North Carolina. Probably I'm go back to Florida. I don't know. Because, you know.
Cool. So, yeah, man. So we're gonna talk about the notorious coronavirus and what go on with all the frenzy and everything what go on. But before we get into that, I just want to say big up all of the people that have been listening to the podcast and been supporting it. You know what I mean? Really appreciate it. You know what I mean? Continue support, share. You know what I mean? I introduce people to it. You know, we've been growing. Every time I look upon like the download and listen, you know what I mean? We've been growing, and I really appreciate that. And, big up to all of the people that will send, message, and even, we call it rate the podcast and everything there. We get them and we appreciate it, you know what I mean? So, we are cook up some topic, cause we got some suggestion and we are cook them up same way. So look out for them in the near future. Alright? So, today we're gonna start the podcast and, as I say, we have the new thing we're doing and we decide on a name we call it Meds of the Week. And my Meds of the Week this week is, when we look what go on, it's more of a touching at the corona thing, but we just keep it brief. Let me just look at the frenzy what go on right now. I think the corona thing is just, it's not to say something you're not supposed to be. Not so scared of, or it can potentially be bigger than what it is. But right now, I think it's an overhype thing, and too much frenzy are going on right now, where it's more of the unknown, and people just people make it bigger than what it is. So, as I say, I get more into the detail, but that's what my thought of the week, when I just look upon all of them things there. I made span what go on, and it just seems the media just push it, social media just push it, and I create all of these friends that we have right now. Is it? So, Carter, what are your Meds of the Week?
Well, as I say, this week has been like a glare, it's been a flash week where lots of events were planned, in regards to my work, professional work travel life, has been cancelled due to the coronavirus. So, it's just readjusting to things that we cannot control as human beings. We can't control the weather, we can't control natural disease, and it's just alarming to see how people are reacting to it. So I guess just to sum it up, my Meds of the Week is just, we're not in control. We just have to adapt and survive.
Okay. I'm saying, Wilton, I know I said this new to you, but you have anything you want to add to it? Any Meds of the Week? Anything you thought about this week you want to share?
Yeah, man. As it relates to the coronavirus, the corporate setting, I had some work travels that I had to go on throughout the week. So I did one last week where I went to Texas, and then when I was at Texas on the Tuesday, I received an email saying that all travel is going to be banned until further notice. But I was still on my travel, so I went from Texas, and then I went over to Nashville. And then, I experienced the effects of the tornado at that point. So,
yeah.
In addition to the coronavirus, the tornado that I saw in Nashville that came close to downtown, it's just something that I haven't experienced before. I saw buildings torn up. I saw, people outside at Kroger supermarket taking donations. I saw people on their porches because they didn't have any electricity. Some of them didn't have water. And I just saw the newscast all over Nashville. So that was big on my part. So when in Nashville, I'm not sure if, just for the listeners and, for the people on the podcast, Nashville, when you go there, it's the country music central of the USA. So every single bar has a live band inside of it.
They call it the Vegas of the South.
Exactly. So whenever you go into any one of these bars, these sports bars, everybody who's playing music and everything, they normally take like probably $2 per song, $5 per song, and they'll sing your favorite song and the band will play it. But all the proceeds that I've seen throughout the bars that I went to in the night, all the proceeds were going back to the tornado relief for Nashville. So that was good. So the city came together. Even though the tornado was there, I went there probably 12 hours after the tornado. And the city came together, so that was big too. But getting back to the travel ban, yeah, I had a trip to California where I was going to go to LA and everything. So that was banned. So I canceled that trip for next week because of the coronavirus. And in my office right now in New York, nobody can come back in the office for 14 days. So, that's what I'm experiencing right now. So I have to stay put and work from home for the next 14 days.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was my thought of the week, how everything. And then, trust me, I have a lot of thoughts for the week because I have stocks that are down like 70%. Not sure if I should buy more or hold. Definitely can't sell. So those stocks maybe pass on to my kids because I'm not sure when that's going to come back up. But, there's a lot that went on this week. If I would need my own podcast to talk about the thought for the week.
Nah, man, we're gonna get into some of that to about the Wall Street and the stock market and what go on. Because like I said, yeah, it's definitely a time to sell. It's a time to just hold. I don't really have no choice. You're gonna lose, but it's just like everything else, brother. It bounce back. I go bounce back. Just so it go. But yeah, as I can see, the corona depend everybody weak and tired and all these things. But we are getting to more of the nitty-gritty of what our personal experience. Wilton just kind of talk about what happened to him personally. And we are getting at what we think about it. So, like for me, you touched on something earlier, Carter, when you say it's out of our control, right? And for me, I just feel like when we look up, I'm a person like I go to expert to get information about stuff, right? I don't scroll social media to get my information. And I think with this coronavirus is a lot of misleading information, a lot of WhatsApp message just send you crap. A lot of people on Instagram and Facebook are post a lot of propaganda stuff and them not know the facts. But me as a man, I go to like people who like to hear from people who this are them duty. This are them job. This are what them do. And like me, I share with you what they listen to, Joe Rogan podcast, and the other guy on it named Michael. Also, I forgot him last name. And the last name kind of spell weird. I can't even pronounce it. But what him do is him study infectious disease, and he may go to.
I know what you're talking about. You're talking about Michael Osterholm.
Yes, him.
Okay. And so he's an infectious disease expert.
Yes. Okay. So that's what him do. And I'm studying infectious disease and all of that. So even just listen to him talk, him kind of give you the straight talk on Wagwan. And feel him opinion on it. So those are the type of people me listen to. You see me I say? So, some people out there would think like it's coming from, it's like a conspiracy thing going on, right? And we're gonna just jump right in at this, okay? You would have a point on that. But to me, everything is coming from a natural, like life. I just saw it go. Things evolve. Just like me I talk on the other episode, I believe in a evolution and them things. A virus and them things that evolve. A virus is a living thing. Living cells. So it's a thing we are going to create and evolve based on the environment for create that. So I think it's just a natural thing and somewhere jump from animal to human. And it's a thing that happen every couple of years. You know, I say I'll get more into it, but I don't really want to talk too much on that. But what you would think?
As I say, information is being distributed through the media and social media, the internet. So there's a lot of information coming from different angles, different sources. So yes, it's difficult for the public sometimes to decipher what is fiction, what is fact, what is myth. But as I say, you mentioned you try to go to experts in the field, right? Rather than propaganda being shared through the media. My opinion, yes, I've seen where they talk about, it's a strain. It's a strain, so that means it was already in existence. When they describe it, they says combined between SARS and AIDS, and I forgot which other combination there is. But when you hear these different combinations within the one disease, right?
Yeah.
It brings up topics of, you hear people talk about, was this made in a lab? Was this people tinkering with, the existing virus, and then it exploded into this, it mutated into this form. Then you have the people who say, well, it came from the animal, and then it mutated because it's a living organism. So it's more of, as the guy said, Michael Osterholm said on the Joe Rogan podcast, he said, yes, it's a strain, but also there's still a lot to be learned about it, because they don't know when a person gets infected and they recover, they don't know if the person is going to be immune for a month, or it's going to be a life-time immunization from it, or will this affect the person long term. So there's a lot of questions that people are having, that yes, should we be super concerned with the long-term effects, or should we just be focused on just getting to it now, So these are the open-ended questions that I still keep floating around, and sometimes some of them are answered where you can say, okay, is it a way of relieving the population so they don't panic? You see what I'm saying? Because before they have this notion, hey, people are surviving, the best you can do is when you have it self-quarantine. But then when you see, big states like the state of New York calling a state of emergency and say, okay, they don't want no gathering of 500 or more. And then you see now it's gone to the national level where, the president is now saying, well, here, listen, we're going to shut down all major events, and we're going to, quarantine if necessary, and put into place all these places for that. So it's like, okay, they're telling you not to take it too serious, but at the same time, the measures that they're doing is alarming. So that's where I'm leaving it for you guys to run with it now.
Yeah, let me touch on that, because as it relates to the coronavirus, sometimes we look at it from a medical standpoint all the time, and we can look at it from a different angle. So there was a TED Talk that came out 3 days ago. The lady's name is Alana Shaikh. Shaikh. So it's Shaikh. So it's titled "Coronavirus is Our Future." And the cool thing about this TED Talk is that before a presentation, it's 16 minutes long, but it's very informational, because people normally look at it from a medical standpoint, but for her, she is somebody who puts processes and procedures together and see what the outcomes are when we have these infectious diseases. So she's not in medicine or anything. She just looks at the world from a global standpoint and say, okay, if an outbreak should happen in Brazil, is the country equipped to handle this disease if it happens in USA or any country? So she can evaluate the country and know, okay, if this should break out here, she already knows what the outcome will be. So that's big too. So the thing about coronavirus is that, we have to expect these, year over year. So what she's saying is that, listen, not because you're seeing it now and you think this is this big thing. People are being infected by different diseases, or the coronavirus is like, if you're listening, you'll see how she explains it. It's like a disease where you've had different strains of them straight throughout the years. This one is just the biggest one. And she talks about China being able to stabilize it to some point right now. And, they're teaching everybody in the different countries how to stabilize it also. And then, social media, again, I'm going to come back to social media that Carter spoke about. I saw this in social media that Canada is coming close to a vaccine for it, even though we heard that the vaccine will take a year. But it seems like Canada is coming close to something, and we've been having breakthroughs, since this virus has been going around. Additionally, to my last point, you remember when we were trying to build a wall to ensure that Mexicans don't come in? Now Mexicans are putting some border control in place to ensure that U.S. does not come over to Mexico and infect them over there. And in this TED Talk again, she speaks about if this gets to Mexico and spreads across Mexico, it will be detrimental, compared to what it is doing to the U.S. And when we hear about this coronavirus and seeing what effect it's having on people, just like Carter, in the Florida and in North Carolina, it may not be alarming as it is in New York. New York, we actually have New Rochelle that we found the first case. They're shutting down New Rochelle, the city, for 3 days. And U.S. Marshals are blocking off everything within a 1 mile radius of the person's house that was infected. And nobody can come in and out. You get me? So that's how big it is over in New York. And again, in other places, people drive their own cars and everything. We are in trains. We are in buses. New York has a very big population. So it's hard for us not to, transmit this virus. Exactly. Yeah. So for us, it's big for us over on this side. And again, one more thing when it comes to the temperatures at which this virus is transmitted. I've heard that in the colder areas, when it's cold and in winter, it's easy to transmit, but in the warmer places, it dies out really quickly. I haven't gone in depth with that one yet. But
you see, yeah. All right. So I'm getting there. You see that way, even the last part of it, just say that's just a social media thing. There's no proof of that. And I think even that same guy we listen to, and him said the same thing. There's no real proof. We don't know. And that's the problem with the misinformation, and a lot of people don't know. People just saying stuff without any real proof. Alright. So let me just get into this.
I'm gonna let you continue, but just to add to what you just said, Nicholas and Wilton, about the temperature. This is according to the Jamaica Gleaner, right? So again, this is coming from the media. It says, today's coronavirus prevention tip. The new coronavirus can be transmitted in areas with hot and humid climates.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a social media. So let me just give you the scientific definition of coronavirus. Let me do this. Let me do this. So we can set the definition and then we'll go from there. Alright, the coronavirus are a family of viruses known for containing strains that cause potentially deadly disease in mammals and birds. It typically so coronavirus they're in mammal and animals, right? So like I mentioned, SARS is a coronavirus, and what people forget, this virus that we're dealing with, they call it COVID-19. That's the name of that strain. So SARS is a type of coronavirus. What they call it, MERS or something like that. Is a type of coronavirus. So what I tell you, they say always throughout history, we always have situation where the virus is from animal, based on certain situation, it jumps from them to us. And that's what this is. Alright, so that's what I'm saying is nothing, to me, that's what I'm saying is, it's just through social media. I think that's why it's over hype. In the sense that it is. I'm not saying to take precaution, but a lot of the stuff that is going on right now is just fueled by misinformation and not knowing. People have the mind frame that SARS, we had the outbreak of SARS a couple of years ago, and we don't hear much about it. People think that SARS don't exist anymore. It still exists. It's just that they know what it is now, and it can be contained. So it's not going to infect a lot of people. MERS right now still big in the Middle East because it's transmitted from camel. So with the matter kill all the camel. I think the guy even did touch on that, Carter. So it's like, it's just that they know what it is, so it's easy to contain. So it seems like this virus, I just believe it's just the unknown, what people don't know, and just the hysteria of the media and social media. And when it comes down to even the percentage, you have over 7 billion people in the world, bro. Is less than 200,000 people have it. 100 and something thousand people have it. Is at 95%, as of now, is over 90%, recovery rate. Right? And, it's like less than point something percent of the people die from it. So that's why I say I don't understand this type of crazy hysteria over what's going on. You got the supermarket, nothing there in the supermarket.
Right.
So that's what I come from, just a statistic that's showing. Like, it doesn't, I don't understand why people acting the way they're acting. And I say I don't understand. Let me rephrase that. I just think is too much. I think even leadership, and you bring out Jamaica, I like how, I don't know if you've been following Andrew Holness, or him been angling that. The man to me, angle it in a Jamaica way better than how it's angling in America right now. Cause the man I give facts and to the people. The man put certain things in place, and the man breed calm. The man tell people, say, yo, easy with this hysteria, cause them have enough food, you know what I mean? I talk to the people and them understand. But here, we have a president who was even in direct contact with somebody where was positive, and him decide, say, I think I just today I got an alert that him decide him finally take a test. So if him even did have it, him would have spread it to all of him staff already. You get what I'm saying? So, is leadership.
Look on 3.2 million people in my talk to versus 327 million, you know.
Yeah,
so,
that comes down to leadership.
And we have more. Yeah, but US is a leader of the world, so you gotta expect, say, everybody against Trump for some reason, and nobody know how to come together right now. Andrew Holness just acting calm now because him just see a case, the last 5 days? 7 days?
Have 6 confirmed cases right now in Jamaica.
Him just calm now, but, when it starts spread, just like how it has spread in the US, him not gonna calm anymore.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but I'm saying, but the thing is, if you have a leader who kind of keep the people calm and lead with a certain leadership, you can have a lot more done. Are you saying
that he's not acting calm?
Who, Trump?
Yeah.
No, him not create a calm. You know what I mean? And we're gonna get into politics because him not be. Alright, the reason why I said this, right?
Why am I gonna jump in here?
When me jump in, I'm finish a point there. The reason why I said that is, you have 320 million people in America, right? How much people them say have it? 400 and something, 500 and something cases. Alright. So percentage wise it's still low. But me understand this, them steps them might take. But if you don't create an environment of people giving facts, and if you don't create an environment of people understanding and calm to kind of kill some of this hysteria, you got overwhelm the same system where that design for tests. Because right now, there's not a lot of places that they can test the coronavirus. And say, if you have 320 million people, and just say 200 million of them are crazy, and everybody want to get corona test, there's no way to have it done efficiently. Because it have to go to a lab to get tests. And there's a thing over 1,000 lab and them only can do 1,000 tests a day or something like that. So it's impossible. So if you are creating...
But not Trump alone. The whole world, leaders of the whole world are talking about it. So even if we don't listen to Trump, we listen to everybody else in the world.
But like I said, Trump is the leader. Him is the leader. Him can create the atmosphere. It's just like, I look at it from...
But did you listen to alright, this is where I'm going to jump in. Last night, because I hear, forgot that some Democrats on I believe CNN, and the two guys were saying, the two of them, they're not necessarily, one guy was a black gentleman, the other guy was a white guy, and they were both saying, they're not fans of a lot of his policies or his views, but they're saying now is a time when there's no need for the Democrats or Republicans to be going against each other. Everybody should just go in support of the president, because if he had even done it 30 days early, 30 days later, somebody would still say, okay, even the black guy even went as further as to say, if Trump even had find the cure today, people would still criticize and say, "How come you never find the cure for cancer? How come you never find the cure?"
I'm not coming from that angle. I'm not coming from that angle at all.
Right.
I'm very objective in this situation. I'm just saying you create an atmosphere.
But then it leads also into the press conference he did today, where all the people are all his team around him, along with the vice president and so forth. They came and they announced what they're going to do to alleviate the population, like putting some measures where people can go online, try to see if they can fill out the questionnaire to diagnose if they have the symptoms before they rush in to the different places. If somebody have a dry cough, then you're running to hospital. So they're trying to cut that down, because of course we have 300 and something million people, so it would be overwhelming to the system. So they're trying to alleviate people from creating a panic and running into the doctor's office with just a cough. So this is what they might try to implement online. Then they also go as far as the IRS give the company them tax break, so the people who quarantine can be paid by the companies without suffering. So they're trying. It's just that,
listen, I'm not saying they're not trying. But when I'm saying leadership is everything, if you, Carter, in contact with somebody who had the virus, right? And you yourself, he was arguing yesterday at the press conference with a woman because he never think him need to get tested. Although him take a picture with the person right there who who had the illness. So what I'm just saying, I'm not saying if if Trump does something good, and we'll get into the politics of things later on. I would not, I'm not the person who will come and say him do everything bad. You understand? I'm not that person. I'm very objective when it comes to this. But I'm just saying, in a situation like this, you have to create an atmosphere and you have to lead by example. If you don't, you have to create the environment what we have right now, where you have to talk about local government actually. I put more. When it took this while for even to put out, cause even when the lady was asking him yesterday at the press conference, if you remember that he dismantled a department that was specifically designed for dealing with pandemic, right? And he must say him don't know nothing about that. He can't blame, and him did it, and I must give authorization for dismantle it. So what I'm just saying is leadership, and even that press conference, they're trying to do this stuff, but at the same time, as a leader, him not take responsibility for him action. You get what I'm saying? And you gonna create that environment that trickle down to the people in the nation. So that's the point I was trying to make.
Okay.
Yeah, but the whole world go crazy over it. So no matter how calm President Trump is, which I am calm, even though I'm in New York, and everything he has said so far, I have been calm and I have liked everything he said so far. So it's coming from a different viewpoint, because I'm good with everything that the Republicans have provided to the country as it relates to this virus so far. So that's the difference.
Okay. So the next thing we want to get into with I know you bring up so they talk about the tax break thing, right? And this may go transition into the politics thing, right? Is that when them say them I get a company tax break, and this one of the reasons, the difference between when people with Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden, and one of the reasons why I voted for Bernie, because I voted in the primary today, and I did vote for Bernie, is that stuff like this will gonna happen. If it's supposed to get worse, right? Coronavirus get worse. And like now, several county, even some state now, close school completely. So them close school for several weeks. Suppose them ban so people can't even go to work anymore. And when you worry about people who work like wages, salary, hourly salary people who get hourly pay. And, a lot sick days and time off is a privilege, nowadays. It's not every company provide that. So people like them there, what's the process and guideline in place for that? Because like yesterday, they might get tax break. Now the company them, like especially the cruise company and the airline, all of them people already are beg for a bailout already. Right? But there's nothing set in stone where, alright, where even the press conference, it did not say them federal government are gonna allocate any money just in case to help people like them there. So, end of the day, if that's not part of the plan, always so the company them are gonna get the tax break and the bailout, but the people them who are gonna suffer the most if the situation get worse, now get no benefit from that. At least as of now. And somebody like Bernie Sanders, that's why I follow him. It's stuff like that the man always a champion for. To make it mandatory for company provide sick days for employee and time off. Make it so healthcare and them thing there is not cause even if you will get tested right now, you have to have insurance, insurance pay for that, I just know, I don't think you saw that, I don't remember see the clip that went viral with the congresswoman force the CDC director to make sure, I think him have this power when if him approve it, they will allocate all testing costs and pay feet and all of that.
Okay.
You understand? So forgetting the politics and transition, I'm just saying, Trump say all of that stuff, but in the idea, if it get worse, I've not seen a plan for regular people. Him never said nothing about that. And this come back to where, Bernie Sanders always a fight for them stuff, yeah. Fight for regular people, the middle, the people them at the bottom who are trying to make it out. And it's always them push the socialist thing, the democratic socialist thing, through the man I fight for regular people. But in this country, like and this I gotta show you with everything with stock market slumping and all of that, the company them I gotta get the tax break, the company them I gotta get the bailout, and them are the only one that gonna benefit from this whole thing. And the regular people them like me and you not gonna benefit from this at all.
Well, we have to see because when you look at things from an economical standpoint, right? I see strategically you wanna give the companies the bailout because to pay the people while they're unable to work, right? You not have to give because, the company. You can have unemployment set up so you can do because remember, they don't have to get it from the company. Why does America give entrepreneurs more tax break and benefits? Because how them look every country, even Jamaica, we have a third world, first world, how they look at the system, economically. They're broken, the system is broken and have loopholes, but from an economical standpoint, it states that you reward the producers and not the consumers, right? Because at the end of the day, the producers are the ones that are generating income and production and generating input into the economy and the population for it to grow. When you just have consumers just consuming and they're not creating or moving any production or creating revenue, you're feeding the wrong energy there. You're feeding the wrong source. So yes, there's gonna be, of course, we know we live in a world of corruption. It might not. This is where we'll see when if the people are infected and when you tell somebody that they will be out of a job for 14 days to a month, 30 days. You know,
company are lay off people already. You know that, right?
Well, we probably that will happen because
they shut down. Think about
it. You shut down the NBA. How many other businesses are affected? You have from the staff that work in the stadiums, the ushers, the vendors, and then you have the surrounding businesses like the hotels, the small restaurants. All of those people, right, are affected because NBA bring in almost probably 100,000 people at a time for each game. So think about all of that business that is affected. So yes, the small mom and pop shop, they will have to probably shut the door. So that is why I hope we'll see if people will investigate after the fact if we go through this storm and make it out, whether or not it trickled down to the employees and that were laid off. See, so that is the due diligence now of the government to have people in place to see if this money, because when people are unemployed or laid off because of this situation, clearly it should be easy to track, because you're going to find people going homeless or not even able to pay the necessary bills, right? So it's just a matter of reacting to this whole pandemic in a fast way. Every country is trying to do it differently. I look at Italy; they shut down that whole section of Italy, just to see how they can, and then they went as far as suspending mortgage payments. So different countries are doing, they're reacting in different ways and trying to see how best they can keep the population from panicking. Because if you make, 200 or 300 million people start a rampage because of lack of information or lack of action, then I don't know what will happen in the next 60 days. It's a very difficult thing to manage so many people, because you cannot please everybody. That's why I commend people who want to do politics, but it's not something I'm very interested in, because if you help Tom, Harry going to have something to say. If you help Harry, Tom not going to be pleased. So, 6 and 1 half doesn't matter.
Will they not nothing to add to it?
No, Carter sum it up in the right way.
Yeah.
There's a lot of topics around this about, because again, President Trump and the Republicans, they've pledged a certain amount towards the small businesses. I don't know about everybody else, but towards small businesses, I think it was like $1.8 billion or something like that. And I'm sure that's increased from that point where he's doing the relief. But again, we live in a capitalist society, and I know that's why you're saying, Bernie looks out for the smaller people, because in a capitalist society, the people up at the head, they always get the relief and get the money and everything. But the small people now, what happens to them? I think for the businesses, they should decrease their margins. If you watch Shark Tank say if you have a product and your margins are not 8 times what you used to produce this item, you don't have a business. So that means that person, if they make something for $1, they have to sell it for $8 or more. And if you don't sell it for $8 or more, you don't have a business that you're running. You get me? So those people may be making millions based on the company, when you could just, okay, let me reduce the margins to $3. So when they come back up in business, say a month or 2 after this, just reduce the margins to $3 so you can pay the people that were working with you before. And then, when it goes to September, October, you can get back your margins. But everybody wants to see how they can squeeze as much money in the capitalist society. So, to your point about Bernie, yes, Bernie definitely looks out for the small people. Me again, I love basketball, NBA. Nick, I don't know if you said it earlier, Nick. I don't think so. Nick and I were there. When was it, Nick? Last week, Saturday,
yes,
a week before now. And we were watching basketball and everything. And, we were actually having a conversation. And I'm like, this could be a podcast, because we're acting like Charles Barkley and Kenny Spint on the panel,
Yeah.
But when it comes to basketball, we're seeing now the first person to come out was Zion Williamson. Zion is 19 years old? Mm-hmm. Just came in the NBA, and he has pledged $100,000 to Smoothie King, because he's saying, that's part of, who they've welcomed him into New Orleans, and they have, made him feel at home in New Orleans. So he's like, okay, I'm going to pledge $100,000 to Smoothie King. I guess he just picked one that he had a good affiliation with, that's part of the stadium.
No,
and he's like,
the stadium is Smoothie King Stadium. That's the thing, they changed it. That's the name of it.
Okay, good. So good, clear, because I know you frequent New Orleans area. So yeah, look at him now. He's doing this. Kevin Love has done the same thing, 100,000. And I don't know why I'm blanking out on the guy.
Mark Cuban, the owner of the Mavericks, say I'm going to do the same thing for the entire, everybody will work there.
Right. Right, remind me of the name of not the guy on the Jazz, the person who did the interview and he was rubbing all the mics and everything. He pledged
Oh,
$500,000 today.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, I
that,
forgot.
Yes,
Gilbert. Somebody, I forgot the
Gilbert.
name.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So he pledged $500,000. People are saying, "Oh, he should have done $1 million and everything."
Maybe
When you
that's
look at the
enough.
comments under there, they're saying, even if he was making a joke, it doesn't mean that he passed it on to the guy from the Jazz. It's just he's making a joke, just like how we started off by Carter saying it's probably a conspiracy.
Yeah.
Probably he thought like that. He was like, okay, it's just something that it's just gonna pass over. But again, he ended up having it, and that's big on his part. So coming back to the small people and small businesses, I think that if an NBA player can say, hey, here's $100,000 or here's $500,000, they get paid millions each year. So I think these people, because NBA players are part of the capitalist society, and they're the ones who are supposed to be, looking out for the people on the ground and everything. So as it relates to NBA and basketball and Smoothie King basketball stadium in New Orleans, I think the players owe it to like the fans and the people who work there to give back something to them if they're falling on hard times. So
Yeah.
that was my take on the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, my all right, see, me like I always say this, God bless those guys who come in and say, them are gonna help out and them are gonna give back to the community. You know what I mean? That's a good thing. But you see, I'm coming from the fact that it's not their fault. So I think they just do out of goodwill, but I don't think it's something they have to do. I think if you have a pandemic, as what they call it, a pandemic, I think that's up on the government to the government and the business that run that to make that decision. I make that pledge. Not necessarily the players them, because I consider the players, although most of them make millions a year, I consider them employees too. They're employees to the league. And, Kabema said most of them, although they have a contract, they have a certain amount of game they have to play. Unless certain money is guaranteed. You know what I mean? So some of them get paid per game within that contract based on how they have it. So they are employees too. So I think when you have a natural disaster, I think this would consider under that category. I think that's when the government have to chip in. That's why people pay taxes. You know what I mean? And when it was bring to Bernie, I'm not I would tell you, the capitalism thing, I'm for it. But I just think it's just been outrageous in America. You see, like you just pointed out the predictive earnings and all of them stuff them I is like when Apple sit on an amount of money right now where liquid cash, right? It is ridiculous. And it's like it reach a point where if Apple we just got through it. If Apple say sell 10 million new iPhone 11, and that's a record and everybody love it and that's good. And so the next quarter, next year, them only sell 8 million, or even 9.5 million. That's a problem. Cause no one will lose. And you get what I'm saying? So to me, and it's like, it reach a point where, the capitalism system where there is never enough. Where it just seems like a company make 25 million, then so next quarter them expect if they make 35 million. And then if you make 35 million, next quarter,
but that's the premise. But that's the premise of what a capitalist. That is the premise.
I understand, and me a man me go big up the capitalism because America as a capitalist system has produced a lot where the world benefit from. You talk in advance in technology and everything. So me not gonna take that away. But it just reach a point where even the average worker and pay per hourly or pay for salary and wages or whatever is not going with the, what do I call it, the inflation. You get what I'm saying? It's like the federal minimum wage is at $7 and what? 15 or 25 cents, I forgot. Since for over 20 something years. Right. You get what I'm saying?
And just to say, but these natural disasters are pandemics that happen sometimes year in year out, and it shows you, what a country has to do to provide relief when, when there's mass destruction or mass deaths. And it comes back to how whether it's a capitalist society or a socialist society, how people, how each country deals with these issues. If the population, and it comes back to the population, if the population really took the time to look at the differences between how each society is run, then, and vote accordingly. But then again, we live in a society where a lot of people are ignorant of just, even not, you meet people in America who have never left the town that they grew up in. So they don't know, they live in Idaho, and they've never been to New York. They've never seen the other side of the fence,
vice versa.
and vice versa. People live in the Bronx and they never leave the Bronx and just on the block protecting the block. They never, not just to take a trip and drive over to Nashville, Tennessee, just to see that there's a different way of living. I wouldn't even bring it to international because, trust me, there's a lot, we can't go back and forth with how.
No, but I will say this.
People are off just me coming from another country and working here, from dealing with people who, they say that, oh, yeah, you're an immigrant and you come in here and you live in this certain type of way. So, I don't want to stray, but just to bring that all together and show you. Yes, capitalist society have its pros and cons, the socialists have its pros and cons, but it all comes back to the people getting educated and making a proper decision when it comes down to choosing leadership.
100%. And I'm piggyback on what you say. What you say is right, because like the good thing America is, right, this country is like, to me, I say America is a whole bunch of country in one. You get what I'm saying? Because like I say, you live in a New York City for all your life, and you've never been to somewhere in the Midwest, and it's like a two different country. You get what I'm saying? You go Texas is like a whole different country. People move different. Most time people dress different. People talk with a different type of slang. You go some part of the Midwest, the same thing. Like, you know what I mean? You have towns where only 10 people living at the one town, and it's far from everywhere else. You know what I mean? It's like when me and go live, and I work with people who live like in the woods, bro. Like, me have to take all ATV, go meet them. Like, it's a man like a vehicle can't drive, go there. And me do job where me have to take boat. Man have to come pick me up on a boat to bring me where I live. Like, you get what I'm saying? So people live, so this country is so wide, people live so different, and people are so different that sometimes I think, like I say, if somebody grew up in a one area and they never travel outside them area, then perspective and things are gonna be skewed.
So right. Even in Jamaica, if you want to bring it back to Jamaica, people, if you get up and you go to Montego Bay like 5 times for the year, there are some people who haven't been to Montego Bay for decades. And
True.
that's Jamaica. Jamaica, for the listeners, Jamaica is the size of Connecticut. That's a state border in New York. Very small, 3.2 million people. And, some people haven't been to the next side of the country. Nicholas frequents Portland, and I can tell you on one hand how many times I've been to Portland. Probably
right,
3 times.
Same here in my entire life.
It's a very nice parish in Jamaica. But just to touch on what you said a while ago, Nicholas, about America being like, it's like different countries. I've always said that to people, in Europe, you probably have some countries that are the size of some states or a couple states put together. Why they're saying that United States, like, it's 50 states that are united. And people are in America saying, oh, I'm not free and all this, but we can just go to any state freely. We don't need to say, okay, anytime you want. So over in Europe, even though you have the European Union and you have free travel to, most of them, but it's not like Europe where you have to go across borders and you have to get screened again. If I want to go to like New Jersey from New York, in which I live now, I just drive over the George Washington Bridge or the Mario Cuomo Bridge, and I'm near New Jersey. I'm good.
Yeah.
So that's the thing about it. But we're like a United States. Not gonna lie, we are free movement. People don't understand that if they haven't gone to different places in the world. Like I've been to 15 countries now. Sometimes I hop in and out of European countries, but it's totally different. All right. So I've been to all these countries, and the only place I feel the most comfortable is London, because everywhere as I go, I don't know the language. If
Yeah.
I don't go to the tourist areas, I do not know the language. And just to touch on different country again, in New York, you drive 5 hours and you could get to another country, which is Montreal. Moment you get over into Montreal, which is Canada, it's all French. So if you're not in the city, the only thing you'll hear is French. If you go anywhere outside of Montreal, you'll start hearing French all over. So trust me, the world is such a diverse place.
Yeah.
And just to bring this all together, I mean, so from your perspective, Nicholas, I mean, you're a contractor, right?
Mm-hmm.
So your job is based on completion and so forth. Has your company said anything in regards to how they are going to deal with your situation?
On this crazy thing, right? We had a meeting Thursday, and come here say, oh, we're not getting an email, we're not getting no information, right? And so we had a conference call and went over the conference call and everything, and the man them about to wrap up the conference call and say, if anybody have any question, I'm gonna bring it up. So I say, hold on this. So we just do a conference call, went over all of this information and everything, and so I said, what about, what's going on with the coronavirus? What's the plan? What's the, what I mean? I'm saying I get an email from everybody. I get email from my bank. I get email from the cable company. I get email from all of them places, but the company where I work with, and contract with, I'm not hearing nothing. Like, what's the process going forward? What's the plan? And they didn't have a plan. Today I got a message. I got an official message from the company with a plan. And yesterday, the operation manager, I work with him, called me directly. And yesterday evening, and I told him, spoke to them, and then just got off a call and blah, blah, blah. So they came up with a plan now, what it is, but it's not no good plan. It's like whatever, but it's one of them things that where this kind of show, like, I would tell you this, man. I tell people this all the time. You work for any company or you do your best job, you do. If you're working for somebody, you do what you have to do, you make sure you outperform and do your work. But never take it lightly. Cause Carter, like, two previous jobs I used to manage people, right? And people have this assumption that the company owe them stuff. You understand? And I always have to check them. When them come in, like I do my one-on-one with my team and all of that. And then would I come and them and say, well, I've been here for such and such and such. And I said, we appreciate that and all of that. But if you don't fix this part of your work, and if you don't start doing this or doing that, we have to make a decision. And some people do stuff and them things that the company literally owe them. And I'm trying to explain that no company owe you nothing. You know what I mean? Every business in business will make money. And if you costing me money, it doesn't matter if you've been here for 20 years. We might give you a chance and all of that, but business are business. And I always understand that. I understood that. You see me I say? So I approach anything me do with that type of attitude. Like, hey, end of the day, I gotta do what I have to do and make sure we perform the way we should. But I understand. Business are business. Business only in if you make money. They're not there to take care of me.
Yeah, I look at it that way too. I look at it that way too when it comes to any job that I'm doing. So, people try to go there and, as you say, outperform, which is good. But people try to go in and say, oh, I'm going to do all this, right away and I'm going to be better than everybody else. My take on it is, I always use this analogy. When you go to the supermarket and you have $10 and you're going to buy a case of water for $10, the supermarket didn't say, hey, here's 2 cases of water because, you're so good, and they give you extra. So me, when I go to work, I always try to ensure that I complete the task that I need to complete first. So if my job is on the line, like this person do what he's supposed to do, yes, okay, you're good. Then after I've done the what I'm being paid for, that's when I'm like, okay, I probably can do a little bit more if I enjoy what I do and everything. But people try to go into a job to say, let me just do 50% more than I need to do. Nope. You go in and do what you're paid for. If they're paying you $5,000 to do something, you go in there and do it. Then after that, you decide if you want to do more.
Yeah.
Exactly. But don't go here to do 150% when you're not going to give you 50% more pay.
They might just say, they might just say thank you. But they see, like, I work for a company, and it's a very big company, right? Me file for bankruptcy. I go through some process right now, right? And I had to lay off people. Like, I had to sit in a meeting and lay off somebody. Lay off a bunch of people. Like, I had to do it, bro. And it's like, you have them give you a script. Like, you get a script from corporate, and you have to, like, go over the script, and you cannot answer anything. And it was just weird for being in that situation, because it's like, some of them people are there with the company for mad long, like mad years, right? And you just sit down in a meeting and you read the script. You have to watch your emotion. I guess through some legal stuff, you can't really go off guideline. You have to be specific. And the way it was just delivered, and you have guys say, yo, so blah blah, what we can do? Hey, call this number, contact this person. You get what I'm saying? So being in situation like that, I always understand, like, yo, people who come and kill themselves over any company, any job, and act like your father own it or your mother own it. Yo, when it comes down to company need to make money and make up for any quarterly loss and all of that, they don't care. They don't care what you put in. You know what I mean? So I always have that type of mentality, and I always understood that. Like, I mean, that's to say we're not gonna work and we're gonna slack up. We're gonna do what we have to do, cause that's us. We like to do our best. But I just always keep that in my back of my head. In
my company, they have this thing called Global Business Services, which is GBS, and they're outsourcing people to India. So there are a number of people in my location, like people with analytical roles, that they're looking at. Like, the company looked at their roles on a whole, and they're like, okay, we can make these roles obsolete. So at the end of 2019, they were either told to try to find a new job within the company within the next 6 months, or they're told that, listen, your job is gone. You're going to work for the rest of the year, and then, you don't have a job anymore. So that's a big thing. They're outsourced. Moscata kind of, man. So yeah, global business.
No comment.
Let me tie this back into coronavirus again.
Yeah.
So this global business service and everything, they came to my location or my previous location for 4 months to train. So they were going to come to New York. They were going to be in the organization. They were going to be in all the meetings, meet all the faces, and get trained in 4 months, and then go back to India, and then they would work remotely from there. Yeah. They were here for 3 weeks, and then hear about coronavirus. Boom, they had to leave on the next flight.
Wow. Back
to India. So right now it's in limbo to see what's going to go on with with the training and the outsourcing and everything. Yeah. We're not sure what's going on. Maybe they just have to take the 3 weeks, then run with that. But I want to make another point. I'm going to come back to your point earlier, Nicholas, about the government and, the Republicans and President Trump not providing clear information to the country. So this was big on my plate. So my niece, she goes to American University in Washington, D.C., and she's doing international business for a major. So she went over to Madrid, Spain, and she was supposed to be there for a semester. So she's over there now, and she wasn't supposed to come back until May. So I spoke to her for like 2.5 hours in on Saturday, talking about coronavirus, but it wasn't that, urgent for her. She was like, oh, I would be so disappointed if I had to come back to the US and everything. 3 days after, I was trying to impart the knowledge onto her based on, everything that I'm hearing in the US, because we have a certain sense of urgency versus Madrid, Spain.
Yeah.
So I said to her, listen, if you have to come back, you need to be in the US if this should break out even more, because you need to be close to family and you need to be where, people provide you with medical attention because you live here. She's a green card holder. Wednesday, I get a call from her, 10 p.m. She's like, oh, the government said they're going to restrict travel into the country, and I was coming on Saturday because she was supposed to come tonight at 11 p.m. But guess what? Sorry. I was supposed to go and pick her up from the airport, but now she had to book a flight that comes in before Friday midnight, because that was the ban that President Trump put on other countries and the government.
Yeah.
So I had to get another flight for her. I had to try to go online, or I was on the phone trying to get to our airline to reschedule the flight. We couldn't get through to anybody, so we had to book a new flight. You're seeing flights for $5,000, $2,500. It's a frenzy. Everything was chaotic, and we finally got a flight for her that went from Madrid to Istanbul, Turkey. Layover for 13 hours. Then she was able to come into Boston, Massachusetts, and not New York. So the good thing about it is that she didn't have to spend 13 hours in the airport in Istanbul. The airline actually put her up in a nice hotel for the 13 hours and then brought her back to the airport, and she had a flight out. So that was good. But the thing about it is that, but the message wasn't clear, because now I'm hearing that, and it's still not clear. And the ban was for foreigners coming back to the US. It was not for green card holders and citizens.
No,
but he had to get that message out. So I guess when he made that statement to the country, everybody was in a frenzy and trying to get back in the country, when it was just for citizens and green card holders. But with this pandemic, we definitely are going to see a bunch of confusion before everything is more organized. But to your point, and leadership, that message wasn't clear. So I probably spent an extra $550, which I didn't need to spend, because she could have come in the country at 11 p.m. tonight. So again, as you talk about leadership, we need clear, concise information coming from our leaders.
Yeah, man. Real talk that this. At least she got out. So glad that at least she there amongst family, because they're in a foreign country in a time like this. I guess it can be kind of scary. But
those are the things.
Sorry, Carter. The thing about it is that, my father is illness. He's very ill, and as it relates to his lungs.
Ooh,
so she was going to go over there and stay with him, and I had to detour back to Alabama, because that's at a high risk. My mother is about to turn 70, and my dad is 80 with lung issues.
She have to self-quarantine for at least 14 days.
Exactly. So when she was able to go to Alabama, which we're happy about. She had a room for herself, and she can self-quarantine in that room, because even though our mother is there, our mother is a little bit younger. So she was able to go there and everything. But the main thing is that we got her into the country, and we were able to get her to the right places. But, as it relates to, people with lung issues, again, I don't think we touched on it in this conversation, in this podcast, that this virus goes straight for the lungs. So if you're having lung complications, the hospital called me yesterday, because I have my number on my dad's file. Anything that has to do with him and in and out of the hospital, or anything has to do with, any paperwork, I have them call me. But they were saying, I'm calling everybody to ensure that, all the patients, if, ask them a few questions to see if they're having any respiratory issues. So, he was good and everything, but, they called, which was good. So if you want to touch on that too, the people from the hospital, They're actually calling all the patients to say one by one, hey, are you okay? Have you been having this? Do you have a headache? Is your throat all right? So that's big. So I love the fact that they reach out. So it makes me feel safer that people actually care about people. And so something that you mentioned earlier about the coronavirus, and we have to pay attention to that number 19. We've had 18 different coronavirus throughout history. So this is just number 19. All the 18, if it comes around again, we have a vaccine for it and we know how to treat it. But this is just number 19. Nobody knows how to treat it. Nobody knows how to get a vaccine for it. So when you see that 19 on the abbreviation that they provided for the coronavirus, it's just the 19th one that we just don't know anything about and we're trying to figure it out.
Okay. Man, good. And hope your family stay safe, cause that's the thing that they need to be more clear about too, is that the people them who are at risk the most, like I said, people, elderly people who have certain lingering illness like your the respiratory problem, people who are overweight, have high diabetes and stuff like that. Is people like them are at high risk, and I think the media doesn't do a good job for push that information out there more. I think if they do that, it kind of can help make sure the people them who really need help get the help them need and get the information. But if you just abroad it and
when you say overweight, overweight, what you mean? Because me and my brethren, we have some big muscle, and him go to the doctor the other day, and the doctor say I'm overweight,
No,
So
I don't know. When I go base off of where the expert them say. That's all them say.
Are you trying to say that? Are you trying to create it? Are you trying to define obesity versus overweight?
I can't have some big muscle in I'm going doctor the other day,
The doctor didn't say I was overweight.
Big.
No.
The doctor say muscle too big for him body.
Muscle too big, you understand?
That's something man, listen.
Ah, boy. That's funny. Well, you know what I mean? As I said, that's good information right there. And I just going forward, I just want people who listening to this and just people in general, just don't look at a headline and just go off of the headline, because there's a lot of clickbait stuff going on, because right now everybody need clicks to make money, so they put the most outrageous stuff at the top, and when you read the articles, have nothing to do with them, I say. So I just need people to read more, understand more, be objective.
Read more, man, and stop by half deep at toilet paper, people.
You see me, I say?
Toilet paper.
We go to the supermarket yesterday,
I
confusion.
bought toilet paper,
Yeah?
I bought my toilet
paper. But I want to know what toilet paper have to do with the coronavirus. How the correlation work?
I have an explanation for it.
They can't go nowhere.
I have an explanation for it. When it comes to
use banana leaf, man.
When it comes to defecation, and when it comes to defecation, there's a lot of bacteria that is passed on through that. And if we have people who don't have toilet paper to ensure that they're sanitarily prepared for this, transmission of the virus, it can cause a bigger issue. So I'm trying to find a logical explanation about toilet paper. There's a lot of bacteria that is passed on by the anus, and if you don't have the right tools to clean it, it will make this virus worse than it is right now. So that's my explanation. So I made that up myself.
Clearly. Charlie, that's a brilliant idiot facts right there.
And they have to make up some things for it. Explain people.
Yeah, come back to closing it out, right? So Wilton, where you think this virus start from? What you think? Briefly.
Coming back to the TED Talk that I spoke about earlier, you made a good point about this being in mammals and animals and everything. This was passed on by an animal in Wuhan, that's in China, where the virus started. So that's exactly where it started, from animals. This coronavirus is passed on from animals to animals over decades, but it doesn't get to humans. It got to humans in China when it was passed on. I'm not sure if somebody didn't cook their food the right way or it's not sanitary in the markets or what. It may have been passed on through that in that market or in that area. In addition to that, when I went to Texas, I work with metal manufacturers and everything, and I'm part of global procurement, and I look at where to source things from Mexico or China or Vietnam or anywhere in the world. They gave me a story last week about when they go to China. I don't want to place this on the whole China, but he's saying that sometimes you go in there, you don't see any, sometimes you don't even have pipes to wash your hands or soap. It's normal to go in and do what you need to do, whether number one or number two, and leave without even washing your hands or anything. Personal space is not a thing in China. People are there beside you. They're, not even 2 feet away. They're stuck beside you. If you've seen YouTube videos with the trains, you can see how close they are. And there's no sense of personal space in that also. And when you sneeze, this is based on what he has told me. He's been to China multiple times. Even in the built-up areas, he's saying, when you sneeze, it's not something where you have to cover your mouth when you sneeze. You can just sneeze onto somebody, and it's the norm. So again, you're asking the question about where do I think this is from? Yeah. Coronavirus has been passed on to animals, but it doesn't normally get to humans. But in Wuhan, in China, that's where it was passed on, somewhere in the meat market or some uncooked food or something. It came over to humans. Yeah. And this transmission of this virus is because of, sanitary issues and personal space and, how you try to reduce the transmission of bacteria in that part of town. And the Chinese population is so big and they travel all over the world. So, that's how it was created or it passed on to humans, and this is how it was transmitted and to other people throughout the world. And as a big population, they go everywhere in the world.
So Carter, you still think about a conspiracy theory, or what? What do you think?
I'm open to all theories, but I'm very open to all kind of theories, but that is what I think the media should push. The origination of the virus, how it was spread, just like how Wilton just explained how it moved from, the possibly, as you said, the mammal or the animal to the human population. Just promote that knowledge to the population so we can eliminate other, myths and theories that are circulating, right?
Yeah.
But just to close out on my end, just that is what I'm trying to push, if I can, in my small space, whether it's Instagram or wherever I can, just to encourage people, not just here, but my parents are still living in Jamaica. When I talk to my parents, just to educate them on what I'm experiencing here in America, a first world country, and just to say, listen, please don't join the pandemic and the panic. Educate yourselves on the symptoms, educate yourselves on what you should do and where you can go for treatment if necessary, and how to self-quarantine yourself from the rest of the family, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also, just encourage people on a whole. Stop the ignorancy. And it goes as far as sales drop in the beer Corona, and people I spoke with this gentleman because I travel in between states for work, so you meet people, whether it's in conferences, even just on the plane, other fellow business travelers, and met this guy, and he was saying that ordered Uber, and the Uber guy was an Asian guy, and the Uber guy was thanking him so much that he didn't switch the ride, and the guy said, what do you mean? And the guy said, yeah, he's been dropping rides all day because once they see his picture that he's Asian, they're associating that because he's Asian, he has the coronavirus. And and this is and he's an American. He was born and raised here, but because he's of Asian descent, they associate the. So it's just people just be realistic and educate yourselves and be. We know there's certain things that we don't know, but please act accordingly and be self-conscious that we're not the only ones in the world. If you go and buy every tissue and every hand sanitizer, guess what? The other person that we interact with that doesn't have it, we're going to get it. That's all I'm saying.
Alright, good vibes, good vibes. And for me, you know my theory already, like I said, and back to where you say, Wilton, based on the theory they have, because there's not 100% sure, but like in China, most Asian companies have a thing called wet markets where like, yo, if you Google it and just look at what it is, you will get it. It's a combination of just random animals. You talk bat, you talk about all type of different rodents, you talk about bird, pigeon, dog, everything just cut up in a one place. Some livestock, them cut it, clean it right then and there. So you talk a combination of from feces, from animal bacteria and stuff linking together, and then, you know, like I said, a combination of the hygiene as well. You know, man, I look about meat and everything. I saw this picture, this man I cut up the bat, but the man have him cigarette in his mouth and smoke him cigarette same way. You get what I'm saying? I pull it out and I put it back in and I deal with that. So it's a combination of from all of that, and I saw typically things jump from to human. And people say, why them stuff is happening in China? One, China is overpopulated. So when you're overpopulated, that's also a combination for bacteria, different people in a small spaces, small spaces combined together with a combination of all of them ingredients that can create what it creates. The people who says it's a conspiracy and the government created, I mean, hey, anything possible. But like one of the guys said, he said there's a lot more natural virus and bacteria that can kill us that we need to worry about than what something you think human can engineer. Because they say we don't have the ability to engineer stuff like that. Maybe even just I say it. But, you know, I tend to believe expert, people who know what them do. You know what I mean? We can speculate and all we want, but I tend to rock with what the experts say. You know what I mean? But yeah, so people, when I listen to this, just know and listen. Maybe by the time you listen to this, things get worse. And we are talking a bunch of mumbo jumbo. You see
Right.
I said, but
What me
yeah,
what me want you ask the people, Nicholas, is like,
yeah,
you know, the listeners, when we are self quarantine and we can't go to work and everything, probably a segue from, you know, this podcast is to ask people what they're doing to cope in, you know, in these times as it relates to, there's no basketball, there's no baseball, there's no NCAA.
yeah,
What are you doing at home to keep yourself occupied? You know, some people have their family, they can spend more time with family. Some people have their significant others that, you know, you can be there and have spend some quality time. Some people are working from home, but it's nice to hear about the people who, you know, what they're doing at home. And
yeah.
also, I've been to the supermarket 3 days in a row and I feel like my food is finished already. I have to go to the supermarket again today. So, I'm realizing that I need more stuff and I'm going to be going to the supermarket this evening, but, you know, you just never know what to buy because, you know, my groceries finished quick. I bought like 8 Golden Crust patties.
Yeah,
And I
man.
think we eat 3 of them today, so, you know, frozen one. We buy the frozen one, you know. 1 year in glass, and we eat about 4 of them already. So I say, hold on there. We need more patty. You know?
So, but did I get some tin mackerel and some tuna?
There's some tin product, man. That's
8 tin
what I mean.
mackerel. I have 8 tin mackerel. I have about 12 tuna. And I also have, we buy crab meat. Never eat it yet, but it not expire next 2 years, so I bought that. So bunch of frozen food, bunch of canned stuff, but I feel like they're moving very quickly. So yeah, imagine people
Man,
with
man for
like,
Russian in belly, man. Can I eat some?
yo, no man, yeah, lift weights and all them thing there. Probably never stop go to the gym, cause when I go to the gym,
Right.
come up,
Yeah,
hungry.
but I best be need to stop go right now. Cause
Yeah,
what germs alone already in the gym.
yeah, for work out at
Yeah,
home, brother. Work out at home.
yeah.
But you know,
Definitely gonna start working at
you know what, which set of people not happy right now? You know which set of people is the most happy right now that this going on?
Oh,
all
the
of them,
conspiracy theories.
you know, they all them doomsday prepper people, them, man. You know, the people they always are prepared
Man,
for
them
this
have
day.
them bomb shelter and
You
all
know,
that time, like, yeah.
man, them, yo, I know when them say what went up in sales, them say ammunition. Guns and ammunition went up in sale.
Yo.
I mean, I tell you, so my
There's
house
another-
back.
Yeah.
Where's
There's another podcast from 2014 with Bill Gates. No, not podcast, TED Talks. And his father always had a big drum in the basement with canned food and say, listen, if there's it's like the doomsday ration. You have to, and they are always had that in the basement. So he's just saying we should always be prepared. So if you look at TED Talks 2014, when they're talking about infectious diseases with Bill Gates, that's another TED Talk too. So all the listeners, if you don't have anything to do, no sports on the TV,
Check
you
all
know,
of them
you have
stuff
2 TED Talks to think about now. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Because I think
Bill
Carter, you
Gates.
tell me about that with Bill Gates, I think the other day. And like, you know, certain stuff I predict. But I'm saying, stuff like this are gonna happen. And then especially with climate change going on, the world get warmer. Look at even winter now. I know, I think about one or 2 days when I have winter up there in New York. Real cool weather. You know what I mean? So just all of them stuff that gonna play a part in the near future of what's gonna go on and take place. You know what I mean? And that's why, you know, that's why we need people to pay attention to everything. Politics, all of that. You know what I mean? And we just need people to understand, like, don't just go with the flow of things. Understand and do your own research. And, you know, and I remember one thing you tell me, Wilton, when you became a citizen, right? And you tell me, say, boy, you just feel pressure like you have to go one way. You know, because they live in New York and you feel like you have to register as and I would tell you, for this whole primary thing.
After I saw in, they said I was applying for my passport right there and then. And you're saying, are you registering to vote? I'm like, yes. Democrat or Republican? I'm like, I'm not sure yet. But they're like, no, just tell me one of them. But, you know, just to explain that, that's why I felt like I was being pressured. Yeah, why do I have to tell you what I'm going to,
you have to be registered as one.
Vote for.
And yeah, right. It's since later with this whole primary thing going on with the wall, right now where they have Joe Biden and Sanders running against each other now, cause most of the people drop out. And it's just how I feel because, you know, Sanders, him is an independent. He's not a registered Democrat. He's an independent. And it's like, for me, I just think I need to register myself as an independent because I'm just not feeling association with both. And then even myself, I'm progressive on certain stuff, but I'm very conservative on other stuff. You get what I'm saying? Especially when it comes to personal freedom and personal financing. I'm very conservative. So I'm very like in the middle of everything, in a some stuff. You get what I'm saying? So, and I just hate the fact that there's nothing there where you can really, I guess independent is the only way, but then as an independent, you're limited to where you can vote in certain election. And it's like, it is, to me, I just hate that fact. Because I'm not all in when it comes to Democratic stuff. And I'm not all in when it comes to Republican stuff. I'm like, some stuff I'm agree with and some stuff, you know what I mean, I disagree with. I'm both end.
Reality, you know?
Yeah. So, as I said, I sit with our podcast here and, you know what I mean, we had a long conversation about coronavirus, so the impact here financially and even a political impact as well in some respect. You know what I mean? But so we just all come to a close on that one here. Before we go away, Wilton, you want to shout out where the people them can find you?
Yeah, on Instagram, I'm not really there much, but it's Willie Escobar. You know, I have a private profile, but you know, we're interested. We share everything on the general site with you, Nicholas, so everybody can know me. You know, as it relates to the podcast. But yeah, man, Willie Escobar _
Okay. Carter, shout out.
Yes, you can find us on GSM podcast at Instagram, and then you can. My personal page is Carter C4. Carter C4.
Oh, I forgot to mention, we changed the name on the Instagram name, and it we must change it to Jamaican State of Mind Pod on Instagram. So it's not JSM anymore. I forgot to mention that first. So yeah, I'll go with that name there, and I think it's better, easier for people to find us that way.
Okay.
And you know, when you interact with people, people understand what's about, isn't it? So I'll just go with that name. There's the Jamaican State of Mind Pod on Instagram, and it's JA State of Mind on Twitter. You know, Jamaican State of Mind on Facebook. You know, you can reach us on any of those platforms. If you have any suggestion, if you agree or disagree, if you want to share what you're doing right now with all of this lockdown taking place, hopefully things get better by the time this drop or in the next couple of weeks. If not, you can go back to the library of episode we have there. We have a lot of good conversation. This is the second year in the podcast, so we have a lot of good episode out there. I think 20 plus. So go check them out and share your thoughts as well, you know. So until next time, people, we'll talk again. Bless.